What's good, everyone? How's it going? NSG here, where today we are here for episode 2 of Back It Up. I apologize for not releasing it Saturday or Sunday, but I just wasn't feeling it. And I want some of these games to play out so I can really talk about it, really in total. So, we are going to start off talking about the NFL and what happened. And then we are going to talk about the Premier League and how it's been going for each team and where I see them landing really in the table. And after that, we will go on to talk about some NBA and how the Western Conference Finals are doing. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, first we're going to talk about the NFL, and I'm ready to talk about each team. Basically, I'm going to talk about how they're doing, where I think they'll land, and I think whether you should take them this week. So, first we're going to talk about the at 32, we have the New York Jets. So the New York Jets lost to San Francisco. I betted on San Francisco for the spread, and I definitely got that. And they also lost to the Bills by 10. This team is just trash. Let's be real. Adam Gase is probably going to get fired soon. When you can only score 10 points on San Francisco after basically almost every good player on their team gets injured, you're one of the worst teams in the league by far. They have some studs like Quinnen Williams, they have Rashad Perriman, Jamison Crowder's pretty good, but they have poor offensive line, no depth on the team. They're not going far. I could see them getting the number 1 pick in the draft. Next up, we're going to talk about the New York Football Giants. And the New York Giants ended up losing barely to the Bears. And NBC has them as second last, really. So they had a decent week against Chicago, but they lost Saquon Barkley, and that's unfortunate. So he's out for the season, most likely. It's unfortunate. They're going to be a last place team also, along with probably last in their division. Maybe Washington's worse, but that doesn't say much. And guess who's number 30, the Washington football team. So they somehow beat Philadelphia 27-17 off Dwayne Haskins' good play, and the Eagles just playing pure trash. But they came back to reality as the Arizona Cardinals absolutely slaughtered them. And I'm not expecting much difference, really. Looking to next week, they play the Cleveland Browns. I don't even think they can get off away from the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns will win that game. They beat Cincinnati, so I can see them win this game. On the spread, though, I would pick them because I think it's like -6. I think it could be a close game. Cleveland's not the greatest, especially against bad teams. They're inconsistent, but they're not going much far this year. So looking at the next team, we got the Detroit Lions, who were just god awful. I betted against them on the spread, and I was very happy I did that. They lost 42-21. They went up 14-3 and only scored 7 points, while Green Bay scored 39 points after that. It just shows what Detroit is. They have a few good players, but they have no depth at all, and they need to improve that. They really do. It's so unfortunate. And I wish them the best of luck, but they're just not a good team. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. And really, Joe Burrow is really good. I liked what I saw of him against Cleveland. It's just unfortunate that he has no one around him to play good. That plays good. And that's just unfortunate, but you know what? The future's bright with him. Him and Joe Mixon are great. The rest of the team is pure trash. And I could see them beating the Eagles. I'm definitely taking them on over-under because I think the Bengals make it competitive. It's going to be a good game. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback, and the Eagles have no offensive line. I don't know, man. They got out to a big lead against Washington, and they just let them slip in and come back. And they got absolutely torched by the Rams. So I don't know. I think Joe Burrow can have a really good game, just like he did against Cleveland, which is a decent defense. So next up after that, we have the Miami Dolphins who play Jacksonville. They played pretty good against Buffalo. I took Buffalo on spread and I lost because Frank Fitzpatrick scored a touchdown late. Their offense looks good. I'm considering taking them against Jacksonville because they just have a good offense. Hopefully Byron Jones is okay. A decent defense. I think they have more additions that makes their team better. Devontae Parker had a great game against Buffalo. They're not going that far this year. This is Tua's really development year. And for him to get used to the offense while Ryan Fitzpatrick plays quarterback. But I like what I'm seeing on Miami. This is actually some improvement, really. And that's what's needed. Next up after that, we're going to have the Carolina Panthers. They suck. Poor Teddy Bridgewater has to go into this mess, but he's not doing himself much favors with the way he's playing. Against the Chargers, I think the Chargers can win that game. They're better. Straight up, they're better. And really, it's unfortunate. They're rebuilding. Next up, we got the Atlanta Falcons. And last week was just embarrassing, man. That's just embarrassing. Expect them to take it out on Chicago. I think they'll crush Chicago now because they need to respond after such a terrible game. And Chicago's not even close to Dallas. Now, next up is Philadelphia. Philadelphia's trash. They are really, really bad. They have no offensive line. No one's running Carson Wentz. I don't understand why they took Jalen Hurts. Get some offensive line around Carson Wentz and get better, man. But they're just not. Jalen Reagor, I don't even like that man. It's not even that good of a wide receiver pick in the first round. They're just not that good. And Dallas is definitely taking the division, like I said earlier. I got a few predictions wrong, that's for sure. But that one I definitely got right. I don't know if they can beat Cincinnati, really. Because they are just terrible. And next up is a team I definitely was wrong about that. Which was the Minnesota Vikings. Man. Kirk Cousins, he had a 15.9 passer rating. As a Vikings fan, I'm embarrassed with what I'm watching. They turned the ball over he had 3 interceptions. The week 1 was the defense's fault. This week was Kirk Cousins' fault. I cannot believe what I saw from him, man. And looking at the over-under, I gotta take Tennessee to beat the Vikings, man. They're gonna pound Derrick Henry down, and we don't have Danielle Hunter to help. No Michael Pence. We can't stop that running game. We can't. Anthony Barr's out too. This team is definitely tanking this year. It's going to be a setback year for Minnesota. And hopefully next year they respond by getting some corners, especially in the draft. And Jeff Glendenny, one of the corners taken, I don't understand why he isn't playing. I don't get it. So after the Vikings, we have the Denver Broncos, who had Drew Lock get injured. But Jeff Driscoll had a competitive game, really, against Pittsburgh. And in week 1, they ended up losing, from what I remember. Where was it? Who'd they lose to? The Titans. They lost to the Titans by 2. They shouldn't have even been in that game. Steven Gostkowski missing 4 field goals. It was really bad. So, looking at next week, they play the Buccaneers. I think I'm going to take the Buccaneers in that game. Unless Drew Lock is playing, I think the Buccaneers are just better. And they're going to do what they did to Carolina to Denver. And then Denver has a must-win game after that against the Jets. But I don't know. Denver isn't going to be going that far this year. Next up is Jacksonville. And honestly, it was a great game against Tennessee. I thought Tennessee wouldn't have a chance, would not do that good. Because of kicking, it wasn't really because of that. It was just Jacksonville played really good. So, it's good to see, first of all, Steven Gostkowski's kicking well. But Jacksonville had a really good game. They played hard. They had a good running game with James Robinson. Gardner Minshew, he had an interception, has touchdowns. It'll be like that. But that's why I'm probably taking Miami over Jacksonville. But you know what? They had 30 points on the board. That's really impressive. Next up, we're going to go with the Cleveland Browns. They barely beat Bengals. It was a good win, but they're not going that far. They'll beat Washington, but I really don't see them going that far. I'm gonna be real. They ain't going far. Next up is Chicago, who is 2-0 after beating Detroit after they blew it, and Mitchell Trubisky waked up and they beat the Giants 17-3. I think Atlanta's gonna beat them straight up. I'm taking Atlanta. They're gonna beat them up. Atlanta has momentum. In the fact of they need to respond. there's gonna be some urgency there after losing 2 games in a row. They need to win, and Chicago doesn't need to win. They're 2-0. They're riding high after beating the lowly Giants and the shitty Lions. So I think their Bears are in trouble still. They haven't played any good opponents, so Green Bay's gonna be tough for them. Next up is the Houston Texans. They play Kansas City and then Baltimore. That's just unfair. Baltimore, they were okay. They'll probably win the division. Indianapolis isn't that good, and this week they have the Steelers, which is another tough game. I don't even think they can beat the Steelers. I think Ben Roethlisberger is pretty good, and I think the Steelers will beat them. Honestly, I think they do. They will, but it's been rough riding for Houston with the way their schedule is. If they could win this, I'd feel pretty good if I was a fan of them because of the division games they have. Next up is the LA Chargers. They played great. They surprised me. I bet against them, and they showed up. Justin Herbert starts, and he looked really good, especially addressing the pocket. That back shoulder throw was incredible. Absolutely incredible in the end zone for a touchdown. It just shows his potential, and I give them a good chance to beat the Panthers if Justin Herbert continues playing like that, which at this rate, I wouldn't even be surprised. Next up is the Las Vegas Raiders, who play the Saints. Well, they beat the Panthers, but it wasn't even by much. They let the Panthers go big on them. I think the Saints, they have a great offense, even if they don't have Michael Thomas. I think they're going to lose the next 2 games to the Saints and to the Patriots, who look really good on Sunday night. Next up is Indianapolis Colts. Minnesota Vikings play trash. Their offense is not that good. If you could score 28 points after 3 big turnovers by the Vikings, including 1 interception near your own end where you only got a field goal. Phillip Rivers is an average quarterback. This is an average team, and I think their ceiling is 6th or 7th. Straight up, that's it. 6th or 7th. Pittsburgh guarantees you're going to take a wild card most likely. Tennessee or Houston will. 7th, I think, is where they can land. That's their best chance, I think. Next up, we're going to go with the Tennessee Titans. Finally, Steven Gostkowski started kicking well. And it's very important. I think they're going to beat the Vikings. And this is going to be a pretty good take because I think they're only favorites by 1.5. So, I like their chances a lot against the Vikings. Next up is the Dallas Cowboys on these ratings. These aren't my rankings, but they're the rankings from NBC Sports. Dallas Cowboys, they saved themselves really big time against the Falcons. That's a huge comeback in the game. I think they need to win just for confidence sake. Next up, they play the Seattle Seahawks, so I think they have no shot against. But the injuries they have, they can barely beat Atlanta. Seattle looked amazing, especially their offense. And it'll be a back-and-forth game just like the Rams, but I think the Seahawks come through because Russell Wilson's too good. He's too good. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 610 yards. That's crazy. I get it's New England, but still. Next up here, they have San Francisco. I'm worried about San Francisco, but they're lucky. They do have the Giants next, so they can run. They can rely on Tevin Coleman in the running game. And Nick Mullins, he didn't look bad. He looked average. Definitely enough to beat the Giants. So after that, we have the Los Angeles Rams. And they looked great. I really liked them against the Philadelphia Eagles. Todd Gurley is a great signing. Cooper Kupp has been playing amazing. He had 5 catches for 81 yards. Jared Goff, he's throwing that ball left and right. He's had 20 for 27, 267 yards and 3 touchdowns. Even though this is against Philadelphia, I like their chances against Buffalo. I'm taking them against Buffalo. I think they're that good. And Buffalo really didn't show me much when they play Miami, even though their defense is really good. When you give up that many points to Miami, which was 28, that's not good. Defenses in general weren't good, but this is really bad. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Jared Goff will have a good game against them. Next up is the Arizona Cardinals, who are a standout this year. And they have the Detroit Lions next. And they're going to run rampage on them. Kyler Murray, adding DeAndre Hopkins has brought a new, just brings energy into that team. Some additions, including Terrell Suggs, have been really good. Cardinals are going to go far, man. They're going to go far this year. Maybe they get a wild card. I think they get a wild card. Next up, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're still getting it together, really, with no preseason. You're seeing this with injuries, too. But I liked how they played against Carolina. I really do. So, really, I think they can beat Denver easily. I think it could be similar against Carolina. Now, Denver's a bit better than Carolina because of their defense, but I think Tom Brady's going to get it together. That defense of Tampa Bay is good. They're a pretty good defense. Next up is New England Patriots. Their defense is so bad. Their defense is terrible. They can't beat a good team with that type of defense. Losing Jason McCourty and, who was it? It was a really good linebacker. I forget his name. They lost 8 players due to COVID. I don't know how you're going to win games like that. They'll beat Oakland, but, man, I'm a bit worried about them against the big teams. They'll make the playoffs, and you know what? Next year, I think they'll be even better. And Cam Newton looked fantastic. I like this QB draw stuff, but you got to play off it. I like when he had that fake, gives it to the halfback, and it's a touchdown. Sometimes he's going to have to throw the ball, though. He's a decent thrower. Let him throw the ball. And it's unfortunate they don't have any big receivers they can have a jump ball with. Or else I think they would have won against Seattle. Next up is the Buffalo Bills. I think they're overrated on this thing, really. They're a good team, but I think they're going to lose. I like the Rams against them. The Rams look really good. Their offense is flowing. I like their defense. Their defense is really good. Buffalo, they've just been 2 close games. You only won by 10 to the Jets. You only scored 27 points against the Jets. It's a bit much, but you allowed 17 points to Sam Darnold and the Jets. Like, come on now. Gotta be better than that. I think the Rams, they showed out against Philadelphia. They only allowed 19 points. They scored 37 on them. So, and the week before they beat Dallas. That was a big signature win. 2017 was a good game, but they played really well. So, next up, we have the Green Bay Packers. Man, are they good. I think they should be top 5. They're that good. Offensively, Aaron Rodgers is throwing that ball like crazy. He's finding receivers. And you know what's crazy? Devontae Adams, he only had 3 receptions for 36 yards. And they scored how many points? I think it was 42. They scored 42 points. And all Devontae Adams had was 36 yards. Aaron Jones had 168 yards. He averaged 9.3 a carry. Now that's due to that big touchdown. He had 4 receptions for 68 yards. And 5 receivers in double digits. Jamal Williams even had 63 yards himself. He was flowing. You know, they can win with the run and the pass. And what makes Green Bay so special is their offensive line is so good. It's so good. And it makes them really good. That's all I gotta say. So next up we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have a good defense and a decent offense. They're a solid team. I think Green Bay's better than them, though. Green Bay really stands out. So Pittsburgh, the first week, they ended up beating the Giants on Monday Night Football by 10 and beating the Colts by 5. They play the Texans next, and I don't think they're going to cover the spread, but I think they'll beat the Texans. They're a bit better team. It'll be interesting. This will be a real test for Houston, really. A team that's up at their level, not a top 2, top 3 team like Houston and Baltimore. So this is going to show what they're made of. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks. If their defense got a little bit better, okay, but they were playing New England. Russell Wilson, man. Incredible stuff. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's some crazy stuff. The running game was dishing it too. All around, he was good. DK Metcalf absolutely was roasted Stephon Gilmore, man. He was looking like toast, bro. See that deep pass and we fooled Stephon Gilmore? That's what speed does to him. DK Metcalf, absolutely fantastic. Him and Russell, he's going to be a great player for the future. Great pick out of Ole Miss. Next up is New Orleans. They play Oakland. Michael Thomas is out. And after they play Green Bay, I could see them losing to Green Bay. No crowd. Green Bay can win. Green Bay will have to be on their A game, though. Next up is Baltimore. What much can you say? Baltimore is a good team. They end up crushing Houston. In the week before, they were pretty good against Cleveland. 38-6. Any week they play a bad team, I'd bet on them. Because they're really good. That's all I gotta say. They play Cleveland? Bet Baltimore. And number 1, they have Kansas City number 1. I don't know about that. Kansas City didn't have the greatest of games against Houston. They were exposed. Really exposed on offense. That pass rush of LA. I like to call them San Diego, and I still view them as San Diego. Is really good. They are really, really good. and they showed up. Justin Herbert was carving that defense, man. There's going to be a problem in the future when they're going to have to make some cuts now because they signed Mahomes and Chris Jones to these big deals. And next week they play the Ravens, so this will determine who's number one. But I like Baltimore in that game. They're at home, Monday Night Football. Baltimore's got this. They have a good defense, a solid offense. And I think Baltimore can win the championship. One of those two could. It'll be very interesting to see. So that's it for the NFL Power Rankings. I'm going to quickly do my picks here. Dolphins, Jaguars. I picked Dolphins. I picked them to cover the spread. I think they'll win by 7 or more. 49ers, Giants. I'm going to take the 49ers. I don't know if they'll cover the spread, though, depending on who's available. The Giants don't have Saquon Barkley, though. And against Chicago, they only scored 13 points. That's not much. Then all 49ers would have to do is score like 24. That's reasonable. Washington against Cleveland. I think Cleveland's going to win, but it's going to be close. And Cleveland better watch out. They're an upset alert. Philadelphia got upset. And, Philadelphia's around where Cleveland's at. I think Cleveland's very overrated, even now. Baker Mayfield's not that good of a quarterback. He looked good against a terrible defense in Cincinnati. Bengals, Eagles. I like the Bengals in a huge upset here. I don't know if it's a huge upset, but I call it an upset. I think Joe Burrow's going to play amazing. He's going to win this game for Cincinnati. Raiders, Patriots. I like the Patriots here. I think the Patriots offense will just be too much. The Raiders have been struggling on defense. And you'll see probably tonight on Monday Night Football. That pick could change, though. Falcons over to the Bears. I think the Falcons are going to have a breakout game. Rams, Bills. I'm taking the Rams. I like the Rams here. They look like a better team than Chicago. They've been playing tougher opponents. And against Philadelphia, they beat them, and they beat them badly. Buffalo plays Miami, and it's a competitive game because Josh Allen doesn't show up in the second half. I think the Rams make more big plays with Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp, and Jared Goff being the main culprits of it. They have a decent offensive line. They beat Dallas. I like the Rams. Houston against Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh in this game. Houston just doesn't have that good of an all-around team. No DeAndre Hopkins hurts. It takes a receiver out and a key receiver. Now Will Fuller is getting guarded by the main corner. Titans, Vikings. Everyone has to bet the Titans here. The Vikings stink. Their corners are bad. Anthony Barton and Neil Hunter are out. Cousins hasn't been that good. Titans are going to win by 2 or more. Come on. The spread was 1.5. You got to take the Titans. Next up, we have the Panthers and the Chargers. I like the Chargers in a close one here. I think the Chargers are just better. Colts and Jets. I like the Colts, but I think it's going to be a close one. I really do. I don't know. The Colts they can't really break out. It's 10 that they're favored by, but I think they can't break out against New York. Cowboys, Seahawks. I like the Seahawks. This could be a close game, though, so I don't know if I take them in spread. Lions, Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to beat them up. Cardinals are definitely a better team. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, man, it makes that team special. And really, looking at it, they have a decent running game, especially with Kyler Murray. Kenyon Drake is a pretty good runner, and he helps this team become versatile. So next up after that, we got Buccaneers, Broncos. I'm taking the Buccaneers. Broncos have a lot of injuries. I think the Buccaneers are going to start to gel, especially Gronk and Brady. Packers, Saints, I'm going to take the Saints. I like them a lot. Sorry, the Packers. I like the Packers a lot. Defensively, they were pretty decent. Offensively, they were beautiful. I don't know what the Saints defense can do to stop that. I'm going to take the Ravens over the Chiefs. The Chiefs just had a poor game. The Ravens are on a roll. They're riding high. It's going to be a breakout game for Lamar Jackson. So that's my picks this week. That was my NFL segment. It was pretty long. So next up, we're going to move to the Premier League. And I'm going to break down each team. And first, the 2 games they played. And second of all, how I see them doing. And the addition is a subtraction. So we're going to start with the Arsenal. Not too many additions here. They added Cedric. Gabriel. Danny Ceballos is back in another loan. On the outs, they didn't sell many players. Just a bunch of smaller players like Henrique Mkhitaryan was the only big one in Emiliano Martinez. Arsenal won against Fulham and won against West Ham thanks to Eddie Nketiah. I think Arsenal's going to finish 6th. I think Spurs are a bit better than them. With the addition of Gareth Bale, Reguilon. They made some good additions, man. Even though they lost to Everton, I like Spurs. Next up, Aston Villa. Villa have added Matty Cash, Ollie Watkins, Emiliano Martinez, and Bertrand Traore. They let go of not many players really. Callum Maher, the best one. I think Aston Villa will survive the relegation zone and finish around 15th to 14th or 16th. I just think they're a good team. They showed it against Sheffield today in a big win. They have some good additions too. And I love Ollie Watkins. That's a great addition. Next up we have Brighton. Adam Lallana, Boltman, Dede Donker, and Weir. On the outs they have Knockaert. I think on loan again. Montoya, Duffy. Not too much. Brighton beat Newcastle. And after that, before that, they lost to Chelsea. I think Brighton just survives again. 16th, 14th, somewhere around that. Next up is Burnley. There's a possibility Brighton can get relegated. Let me add that. Next up is Burnley. They added Will Norris, Mark Rector. Not too much. Diallo. Joe Hart is gone. Jeff Hendrick is gone. Another average season mid-table for Burnley. First 2 games they lost to Leicester. And before that, where is it? Oh no, they only played Leicester. They lost Leicester 4-2. After that is Chelsea. Here's a big one. They added Timo Werner, Hakeem Ziyech, Ben Chilwell, Milan Sarr, Thiago Silva, and Kai Havertz. A lot of good additions. They let go of Willian and Pedro, Chabela, Bashuai, Zappacosta, some others. I really like this team's chance. I think they're going to be second. I think someone else from the league. You'll see who that is. Next up is Crystal Palace. Nathan Ferguson, Eze, Bashuai, Giddings, Flanagan, Chris Henry, and Tupper released. I think Crystal Palace are going to get relegated this year. You heard it. Wilfred Zaha is really good, but I think they're going to get relegated. They beat Man United, but they're getting relegated. Man United just had a bad game. Next up is Everton. Nkunku from Marseille for free. Allen, Yames, and Decore. Schneiderlin got sent to Nice. Stecklenburg on a free. Double. See, they beat Spurs. I could see them. They're finishing 7th. They're a good team. Carlos Ancelotti is a good manager. Next up is Fulham. Add Antoine Robinson, Mario Lemina on loan. Harrison Reed, Ariola, Tete, and Allah Ayana. I think Fulham are going to get relegated back down. It's not good enough. Close, but they're not good enough. Next up is Leeds. A good amount of additions here. Helder Costa, Ilya Meslier, Jack Harrison on loan, Joe Gildhart, Samuel Rodrigo, Robin Koch, Christina Somerville. They're also looking at Rodrigo De Paul from Udinese. I like them mid-table. They look Marco Bielsa, I think is how you say it. He's a really good manager. He's really good. I think his team's good enough for mid-table. Next up is Leicester. Leicester added 2 players only. Timothy Castange and Singes Under from Roma. Let go Ben Chilwell. That's about it for that. I think Leicester are going to be 8th. Mid-table team to me. I think they're just not good enough for top 6. Liverpool added Konstantinos Tesmika from Olympiacos. Thiago and Diego Jota. Let go of Lallana, Hover, and Lovren. I got them finishing 3rd, behind Chelsea and City. Yeah, City is the next team here. We added Pedro, Pablo Moreno, Baron Torres, Nathan Ake, and Scott Carson, just to get that extra English player in there. City are going to finish 1st. I think this is their year. Pep is under a lot of pressure. He couldn't win the Champions League. I think they're going to finish 1st, surprisingly. Man United added Odi and Agalo, Donny Van de Beek. I'm a United fan. Let go of Alexis Sanchez. Lil Traore, Joel Pro, James Garner, and I expect Chris Martin to be leaving anytime soon. I think Man United are going to finish 4th. 4th place for them. They're going to need to make a few additions. I think they're going to get Alex Tellez. No Sancho, unfortunately, though. Next is Newcastle United. Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Jamal Lewis. See them as a mid-table team. Sheffield United, West Fotheringham, and Ramsdale, Bogle, Lowe, a few others. Mid-table team. Southampton, Kyle Walker-Peters, Salisu. I can see them getting relegated, but I don't think they'll get relegated. Tottenham, Hoiberg, Hart, Doherty, Reguilon, and Bale. 5th. West Bromwich Albion is with Mateus Pereira, Cedric, Button, Callum Robinson, Ivanovic. I'm gonna see them getting relegated. I think they're gonna get relegated. Just not enough. But Mateus Pereira, that guy's special. He is special, man. Come off the loan for Sporting, was really good, and he proved himself. And now they're getting him permanently. That's fantastic for them. Thomas Suchek is in for Slavia Prague, for West Ham, and Ashley from AFC won't put it. Not too much, really. Mid-table team, West Ham. Wolves, Fabio Silva, Hoover, basically any Portuguese player, and except they let go of Diego Jota. Again, mid-table, 9th. I can see him finishing 9th. So that's it for my Premier League wrap. I had to kind of breeze through that a bit, just where I see these teams finishing. Let's finish this off and talk about some basketball. So first, let's talk about the Heat and Celtics. And this Heat zone has got the Celtics. And, you know, the Heat are suited for the bubble. They have good three-point shooting. They have a playmaker on defense like Bam Adebayo. They have some good centers to back up. Goran Dragic is playing great. Butler's playing great. Robinson and Hero the shooters. And they play the zone on the Celtics, but has them. The Raptors played a similar zone. They played a 1-4-1 with the point guard on Kimba. Well, they play a 3-1 zone, around it. So they take him off the dribble. So wherever he goes to, if he's beat, there's another guy to back him up. And they don't know how to solve this. They don't know how to solve this. So the Heat are playing a similar defense, trying to take out Kimba. So when people are saying Kimba's not playing bad, no, he's not playing bad. Because when he's open, I see him, he makes shots. But they're just trying to take his playmaking really off, so others can make plays on the ball. And this is why Jason Tatum was so important, because he's probably the only other guy that can make plays on his own, that can beat people off the dribble. He has that step back. When the Celtics are moving the ball, they're really good. But when they can't move the ball like that, they're not good. And when they can get to the paint, they're really good. Against Miami, they had 60 points in the paint in Game 3 and 27 assists. But when Miami's feeding off turnovers and get Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson the ball open for 3, when they don't allow the Boston defense to set, because their defense is really good, they are pretty good. This is why Miami's surprising everyone. But they're built for this NBA, where it's less about defense and more about your offense beats your defense. And that's what the NBA is like now. It's the only sport where offense wins games. Not even the NFL's like that. So, I think Miami's going to win, and they're going to win in 6. I think Boston can take next game, even though they almost blew that lead to Miami. I like what Miami's doing. Jimmy Butler is showing up, man. That guy is showing up. He's beating other guys. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero are playing fantastic, man. Some great stuff. And Eric Spoelstra is a great coach, man. Great coach. Unbelievable. Next up, we're going to look at the Lakers and the Nuggets, and I feel bad for the Nuggets, man. The Lakers are a great team, but yesterday, the Nuggets deserve to win. Looking at these team stats in Game 2, the Nuggets shot better. They didn't they got to the paint more, and the Lakers turned the ball over more. The Lakers had the advantage when it comes to bigs, because Nikola Jokic is the main center. So he's not as good defensively, but offensively he's good at creating for others. Another issue was both teams shot the ball really bad from 3. This benefits the Lakers because they're good when they slow it down. I think an underrated player for the Lakers was Rajon Rondo. Even though he had 3 points, he had 9 assists, gave it to AD for the winner, even hit a 3. I really liked what Rajon Rondo did offensively and defensively. He was a +6 on the floor. The only 2 Lakers that were better than that, there were a few. There was Danny Green. Think of it. Danny Green was 3 for 10 from 3, yet he had a +10. That shows how much of a difference on the floor he makes defensively. Anthony Davis was +8. Dwight Howard was +10. And think of it, LeBron was -9. LeBron was -9. AD really bailed out LeBron there. 3 for 8 from 3. He had 6 turnovers. LeBron had 6 turnovers. That's not winning basketball. Then you say he had 11 rebounds. Wow. He went and got a rebound defensively. Congratulations. You missed a bunch of shots. You were on -9 on the floor. He was not good. But you know, Danny Green's going to get blamed because he was 4 for 14, even though he's a +10. And LeBron's a -9. That shows a lot. It shows a lot. So, looking at Denver, I like Jokic and Murray did their stuff, man. Combined, they had 55 points. No surprise here. Even though Jokic was a -6 because he was a defensive liability, Murray was a +16 because he's really good. I think there were a few underperformers from 3. Jamal Murray was 2 for 9 from 3. Jokic was 1 for 4. Harris was 1 for 3. Porter was good. That's about it. You think about it, those two hit half their threes, they win the game. So, it was a good comeback by Denver late. Jokic was starting the ball. But man, when you're playing the Lakers, you got to get clicking, man. I think Denver takes game 3, but I think Denver loses in 6. Lakers to the finals. And congratulations to them. I see the Heat also making it to the finals too. And I think the Lakers probably will beat the Heat, but the Heat have made a good run. I wouldn't be surprised. They've really proven a lot to a lot of doubters. And a lot of people didn't have the Heat going this far. Some people had the Celtics going this far to beat the Raptors, but not the Heat. Everyone was underestimating the Heat. And the Raptors, I remember as a Raptors fan, we beat the Heat in the regular season. I'm like, okay, this team we're going to get past this team. But we didn't. We didn't. We couldn't even get past the Celtics first, but the Bucks couldn't get past the Heat. I think the Heat were set up to beat the Celtics and Bucks, because both teams, you could play a zone against them, and that'll help stop them. I wonder what they're going to do against the Lakers. Will they do something similar with Anthony Davis, put Bam Adebayo on him, or LeBron? If you take AD out of the game, what's LeBron going to do? Is he going to step it up? It'll be interesting to see in the future. First, though, we got to get through the conference finals. So, guys, this has been yet another episode of Back It Up. Can you guys like this video? Please comment and please subscribe. We're only at 10 subscribers. Let's get that count up. Thank you guys for getting me to 10 subscribers. I would really like to build this channel because I like doing this stuff, really. Podcast, gaming, all that. Soon, I'm going to start news podcasts as we get through the election. But for now, we're going to start with Back It Up. Because when we come with some hot takes, you got to back it up. So, as I said, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to Back It Up. In the next episode, we'll probably talk some more football. But we're going to also talk some hockey. And maybe basketball. Depends what happens. So, this is Christopher Smithies. It's NSG. God bless you all. Have a good Monday. Thank you.